Hey everybody, how y'all doing? It's Steve coming at you. Hope you're having a great day. Well, the culture war continues. And you may be wondering what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about Kevin Smith, the guy who made Clerks, Clerks 2. I think he's working on Clerks 3 right now. Made Dogma. Used to be a heavy set guy, a little bit heavier like me. He lost a lot of weight. And with that weight, I think went his balls because he's gone full Hollywood now. And you may be wondering what I'm talking about. He used to be a guy, he's a great comic book guy. Likes animation, comic books, cartoons. Me too. I was a big comic book guy back in the day. Apparently, I think he owns a comic book store. And he decided to take on the project of He-Man. And He-Man, for those of you who don't know, was a cartoon that came out, I think it was 1983. I think I was a teenager when it started. And it was a little campy. It was mainly for a little bit younger audience, but I thought it was kind of cool. You know, He-Man, powerful dude who fought against this muscled up Skeletor figure, a muscle bound guy with a skeleton head. It was meant for kids younger than me, of course, but I always thought it was cool, and it always taught some valuable lessons in the process. Well, he decided to become a showrunner for this cartoon. There was another guy, I guess, named Teddy, who's Ted something, I don't remember his last name, who's a Netflix executive, who supposedly is another huge He-Man fan, and then a third gentleman who's also a big He-Man and Masters of the Universe fan. Well, they called this new project Masters of the Universe Revelations. Well, if you haven't already heard, fans hate it. Now, I'm not going to turn around and tell you I've watched it, because a lot of times when these kind of things happen, I know kind of how Hollywood goes, and I kind of wait for the reaction or wait to see certain things before I decide to get too involved. Now, a group called Clownfish TV, Neon and his wife, lovely wife Kiki Sparkles, who have an animation and comic background. They're actually animators and writers, comic book writers back in the day, and they have connections in the industry, especially when it comes to animation and comics. And they had heard that this project was not going to be a good deal, that essentially He-Man was going to get sidelined in place of Teela and her girlfriend, and they were going to be the ones who go on a heroic quest to save Eternia, which is the planet they're all on. Now, Kevin Smith a year ago said that was not true. He said, man, I wish I had you guys when I was putting this story together. Those things are not true. He-Man is very much in the forefront of this project. Blah, 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 blah. Well, it's out on Netflix now. I have not bothered to watch it because I've read reviews, or watched some other YouTubes about what was going on with this project. And even seeing some of the still shots of the images of the show and what the women on the show look like, I'm out, man. Basically, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it. Masters of the Universe. Back in the 80s, it was called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. This show, Masters of the Universe, which they initially marketed it to make it seem like it was all about He-Man. The first clips they dropped to promote this show was He-Man doing some He-Man stuff, man. I mean, he was on it. Strong, powerful, kicking butt. He-Man gets killed in the first episode. And Teela gets upset because she didn't know that He-Man was actually Prince Adam. He-Man's got an alter ego. Prince Adam is the alter ego, or He-Man is Prince Adam's alter ego, however you want to look at it. But she didn't know. So she gets pissed off. She yells at the parents who just lost their son, the king and queen, who just lost their son, the prince, because he sacrificed his life to save the planet. And Skeletor killed Skeletor in the process, the bad guy in the process. He dies in the first episode. The rest of that episode and the rest of the series is all about Teela and her friend Andra and their quest to save the planet because it's losing its magical abilities, and it could destroy the planet if it loses magic. And Teela, at this point in time, she starts out as a real attractive princess, pretty fit but attractive princess, and she transitions into a mercenary. She has got more muscles than the prince does. I mean, she is muscled up at this point, with the, the little, it's become a meme now. It's Hollywood. The half-shaved head with the short hair and hair flipped over to the side deal. It is so pathetic, and it is sad. They took another IP and they decided to destroy it. Hollywood. And it looks like it's purposeful, because Kevin Hart, after all the stuff about how He-Man's central to the plot, He-Man's not been sidelined, He-Man's it's a series all about He-Man, how Princess Tila does not have a girlfriend, she has a woman or a girl who is a friend of hers, and all this other stuff. He lied, man. He lied. It was a bait and switch, which Hollywood's been doing for a long time now. And this is another reason why I kind of hold my powder dry, so to speak. I reserve my opinion, reserve looking at certain new properties until I can get a feel for them, go look at some of the reviews from the fans, not from the critics. The critics are paid to write their slop, because even now on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got like a 94% score, I think, and a 32 audience score. 94, 95 critics, 32 audience score, and I believe, and I'm thinking they're manipulating that, because at one point it was down to 24, and all of a sudden it stopped. All the comments stopped coming in, but yet the score kept creeping up. But that's Rotten Tomatoes. I've done videos about that already. I digress. Anyway, my whole problem with this is this. Go look at the picture. There'll be a picture. There's a picture of Tila and Andra and another woman called Evil-Lyn, who was the woman who worked for Skeletor, the bad guy. They're all jacked like dudes. And these guys were virtue signaling so hard, you could land a plane with their virtue signals. Here's my problem. Why, and the 3 white guys, by the way, wrote this. Since they want to virtue signal so much about diversity and inclusiveness, 3 white guys wrote it. Why, in order to show strong women, do you have to make them look like men, or basically draw men's bodies and put women's heads on them? Why do you have to do that? I mean, these girls are jacked. They got bigger arms than I do in this show. Why? Do you not believe women can be strong and be feminine? At the same, that's an insult to women. It's an insult. You think you're doing something cool, and you're showing your own misogyny by making them look like dudes. Secondly, Andra's character in the comic, actually, because I understand she appears in the comic, I believe her character in the comic is a redhead. Tila is a redhead. Andra in this show is black with dreads. Why is it now every time I see something in Hollywood, whether it be animation or a movie or a television, or the black character is more than likely gay? Why is that? See, that's done on purpose, folks. But the black character, specifically the black character, is more times than not gay. Why is that in Hollywood? Why are they doing that? Is that another diversity ploy? I guess you can get a bunch of diversity points, because it's not only is she black and female, but if you can make her gay, you hit the trifecta in the diversity scale there, and the virtue signal. That light will start flashing like one of those balls in the disco ball. Stop pandering to people. Stop taking previous IPs that people really care about, that has a lore to it already, the comic books, after the show, then there were the comics and toys. Stop taking well-established properties and destroying them in the name of wokeness. This is my issue with all this BS. This is why my daughter and I have been watching a lot of anime, and this is supposed to be a Netflix original anime. It's beautifully drawn. I've seen it. I mean, it's beautiful. It's done by the same people who did Castlevania. And by the way, as a side note, Castlevania did it right. If you want to see a good animation, good stylish anime, the drawing, the story, the growth in the characters, they don't make the men too strong, they don't make the women weak, they stand on equal footing. Go watch Castlevania. Castlevania was done very, very well. That's the show that should be the gold standard for all this other BS that these guys are trying to put together. But anyway, we've been watching a lot of anime, Japanese anime, because even in Japanese anime, we watched a show recently called Akame ga Kill. Even in that, the women are gorgeous. I mean, it's just, they're very feminine, very nice curves, all that stuff, that they're drawn that way. But they're strong, and they're not stupid, and they're not subservient, and neither are they men. And that's the way these stories should be told. You can draw a strong woman who actually looks like a woman. You don't have to turn her into a dude and have her be angry at all the men, because apparently that's what happens in the rest of the series. Is Teela and Andra in this Masters of the Universe Revelation, they run around the rest of on their different quests complaining about the men, and all the men in this show are either subservient or dumb or bad. It's ridiculous. Stop. They're not going to stop this, because they don't care what I say. We have to show them that we don't want the crap they're trying to push down our throats. Just because their virtue signal light is about to blow out, it's so hot and so bright, doesn't mean we have to have one. And they're not going to understand until we show them we're tired of it. And you may decide, Steve, well, you know, it's okay to show all these things, and what about this and what about that? I am sick of every show, and it's probably just a Netflix meme. Every show, somebody's got to be gay, and it's usually the person of color has got to be gay. Why is that? Why is that? Just write a good show with good characters, and nobody's going to care. Stop all the virtue signaling. That's all we ask. You may agree with me, say great. If you do, let me know. If you don't agree with me, say, Steve, I think you're full of it. I'm good with that too. Either way, I know this video is a little longer than my normal videos, but I'm just so sick of the decay in our culture that Hollywood is pushing, especially when it comes to previously owned, previously recognized genres and independent properties, and that people and different lore. Same thing with Star Wars, that people care about, and they're turning around and destroying it, and then laughing in our face. And then when we don't like it, they call us man babies and trolls, and we're just review bombing and all these other BS tactics they use to try and shame people into liking their bull. We don't have to put up with that, guys. If you agree, great, let me know. If you disagree, great, let me do that too. But anyway, like this video, comment on this video, share this video. I know this will be the video that some people will like, simply because maybe there's some other nerds out there who care about it. I know it's a video that some people won't like, because they're into the different other things I talk about, like politically or socially. But this is along the lines of our society. This is a cultural issue that I wanted to bring up. They're not going to listen until we make them listen with our money. With that, hope y'all having a great day. Y'all take care.